Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pinfalls and Playbooks podcast, episode number 12. As always, I'm your host, Faiz Kabir, alongside my co-host, Fardin Khan. And this weekend, we had a lot of stuff that happened this week in terms of wrestling and sports. We had just passed WrestlePalooza, we had Monday Night Raw, and then obviously on the sports side, we had a few injuries we can talk about, and also with our weekly games that we're going to talk about in the sports world, as plus as whatever is going on in the sports world. We'll try to touch on it real quick, whatever, like when it comes to baseball or anything like that. But to be honest, it's just a big push against
the postseason.
Exactly.
Postseason push is finally here. Road to October, road to the Fall Classic.
So, but first things first, let's start off with our wrestling recap. And we're going to talk about the biggest thing that's going on in the wrestling world right now, and in the sports world actually, is WrestlePalooza.
Yeah, it was a big thing. ESPN, they finally had their first premium live event. There was so much hype surrounding it.
A lot of hype.
Like, they had so many different WWE wrestlers on different sports shows, First Take, Get Up.
Exactly.
It was like rolling out the red carpet for the WWE.
For sure, and we'll talk about it as the show goes on, but there was a lot of hype to the show, and we'll see, and we'll discuss if it lived up to it.
Right.
So first things first, let's talk about the biggest match on the show that is promoted, and that was John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. So originally, this match was supposed to be the main event.
Yeah.
However, things change, and it turns out it was the first match of the show. In my eyes, that just means Brock Lesnar just wanted to do his shit and get out of there.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
So we had John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. In my eyes, it was an absolute squash match. I guarantee you nobody really expected this, especially with John Cena doing his farewell tour.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is he came out with all the kids looking like the Minions. And
dude, he had
so many people in the crowd wearing yellow, and it was just absolute chaos for him.
Especially when he brought in all those kids. I'm like, okay, this is going to be like a heroic John Cena victory or something like that. It was the complete opposite. Brock Lesnar came out absolutely looking massive.
Yeah.
He is, pushing 50, and he looks in the best shape of his life. I don't know what he did in the last 2 years that he was off, that he just got even bigger. But that's what shows you in a clean diet and with a all carnivore meat diet that he eats can just make you look like that.
Up in Canada, but
dude,
it's crazy.
He looks insane.
Yeah.
But what happened in that match is simple. It was a bunch of F5s, and John Cena kind of hit him one AA, nothing after that, and then Brock Lesnar just basically beat the crap out of him for the next 8 minutes. I believe that match lasted, and they led to a bunch of these people in the crowd that was definitely confused.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids crying, which is always a great visual for WWE fans to always get.
A lot of people, I saw memes were like, "Oh, we paid $30 to see kids cry."
My God,
it was an utter disaster for John Cena.
See, the thing is, I don't know how WWE can also understand that this was the way to go, especially with this farewell tour. And now they're saying that this is a one and done. John Cena might not even get another chance at Brock Lesnar. So it's kind of mind-boggling to me that this was the way they wanted to end that Brock Lesnar John Cena
somebody
feud.
in creative definitely was like, "Yo, we don't want to push too much into it." And I don't know. And maybe Brock Lesnar had some storytelling in it.
And the thing is, I talked about it in my predictions, where I was like, I did have a feeling that Brock's going to win, but I just didn't think it was going to be in this type of fashion. But that was pretty much the surprise of the night for everybody. Overall, that match it kind of started off like a bitter taste of the show.
Everybody kept promoting it as the main event, but man, that was disappointing. I love John Cena. John Cena is my favorite wrestler of all time. That was very disturbing to watch.
It was a massacre.
It was it was the Boston Tea Party massacre. Right? No, the Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, but that was horrible. But let's talk about the next, which was the Usos versus the Vision. So the Usos and Vision, they've been feuding for nonstop on Monday Night Raw, having the same tag team matches all over, just switching it up, mixing it up. But before the show started, they announced that LA Knight would be part of the show as a special guest referee.
Adam Pearce was looking for. They needed somebody to be the more controlling force in the ring.
In my eyes, that was just a way for them to get away and make this basically a non-disqualification match.
Yep.
And that's
Which
exactly
it kind of turned out to be. Like you saw LA Knight, or not LA Knight, I'm sorry. You saw Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso take out steel chairs. LA Knight just looked the other way. They hit him with the steel chairs, but when Bronson and Braun tried to do it, it was like, no, you're not doing it.
Exactly. So it was it was a little comedy play to it as well, which is also great. But overall, the match was really good.
Yeah.
It was chaotic, but it also, one of the big spots was Jey Uso actually cutting himself open, which that was very interesting. I doubt WWE wanted that to be shown on ESPN today. Was Jey Uso? I believe he smacked Bronson Reed in the back of the head. Back of the back.
On the back, and then the chair ricocheted off and hit him in the.
And he just started gushing blood. But
we were all confused. Like, yo, was this part of the script? Like,
exactly. But overall, the Division 1, they desperately needed a win to keep that feud and faction strong. So that was pretty much where I believe that Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, they're going to be starting to like maybe lead on to whatever it is. It looks like they're definitely leading towards a War Games match with their group. But we'll talk about. Oh, we also did not mention in the John Cena and Brock Lesnar match where Paul Heyman.
Oh yeah, Paul Heyman introduced Brock Lesnar for the first time in years.
Exactly.
What's crazy is on the SmackDown before, Brock Lesnar went up to Paul Heyman. He got confronted by Bronson, and he told Paul, like, "Yo, we should talk." And I guess this was the talk.
Exactly. And in my eyes, I think like this is probably not the end of the talk and partnership. This could mean that Brock Lesnar could be a part of their team in the War Games match. And that's kind of insane to think about. Brock Lesnar in a War Games match is scary.
Yeah.
I don't want to be locked in the cage with him. To be honest,
I want to be locked in the cage when all the teams are members. Like, yo,
dude, that's gonna be insane. And I think this is the opportunity where they could do it. It could be. So the thing is, John Cena's got to be on that Survivor Series card. So it might be a situation where John is on the other side of the War Games match, Brock Lesnar's on the other side. So that could kind of like reconnect with having, like, imagine on John Cena's team, you could have a CM Punk, you can have a Roman Reigns,
the Usos.
The Usos. There you go. That's your 5 right there versus the Brawns, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. That is probably the most star-studded War Games match ever right there. And that would be insane right there. So I could definitely see something like that leading up to it. But overall, that tag team match was a good way to pretty much hopefully put an end to their tag team feud, but it looks like maybe not, as we'll talk about it on Monday Night Raw. Yeah. But next we had the match of the night. Yeah. Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky.
Yeah, so Stephanie Vaquer, she actually won the Queen of the Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won the Queen of the Ring back in June, I believe, and then she was guaranteed a title shot at Clash of Paris, but that didn't happen because of Naomi's pregnancy, so they pushed the title match to WrestlePalooza, and unfortunately it was against Io Sky. Honestly, it was one of the best women's matches of the year, in my opinion.
For sure.
A lot of sparring, a lot of high-flying action, and back and forth.
And I wanted to mention one thing, too, is like we did talk about how Stephanie Vaquer wasn't present on TV for a while.
Yeah.
And the reason is because she was dealing with actually like some type of flu. So there's a reason why she just wasn't on TV. But if she was constantly on TV, then it probably would have even made more sense why WWE probably was going to put the title on her.
Yeah.
But overall, in my opinion, she kind of deserved it with that performance. It was a great match. Io Sky continues to show why she's one of the best women's wrestlers.
There was no interference.
No interference needed with 2 stars like that who can just go at it and have a great match. There was back and forth. We had pretty much the end of the match where Stephanie Vaquer pulled out a spiral tap where she done this before back in NXT, but this was the most picture perfect one I've seen ever she done.
She did a corkscrew spin off the top rope, and basically that won her the match.
And it was perfect. It was the best way to end the match because it was a move that I guarantee you, like, the crowd wasn't expecting. So you pull that out, she gets the W, and now Stephanie Vaquer is a champion, and now let's see what they do with it.
I'm very happy for her.
I'm happy for her too. I just didn't think it was going to be this soon, but if it is, let WWE roll the ball with her, and let's see where she could take it. She could probably take it to WrestleMania, if anything. That was probably the best match of the night. However, we did have the most chaotic match of the night.
This match, in turn, best way we can describe it, made no sense. Let's just say that. So the match we're talking about is the mixed tag team match between CM Punk, AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. What started out as like, oh, we're not going to have AJ Lee get into the ring as of yet.
It started off very slow.
It's just basically with CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins just back and forth,
And then there'd be spots where CM Punk would get trapped in the corner and the referee would get distracted and Becky Lynch would start slapping him around. Vice versa. And Seth Rollins would get trapped in the corner and AJ Lee would start slapping him around. It was like, oh.
And honestly, it was the classic way to basically do a mixed tag team match when you have someone who hasn't been wrestling in a long time.
Right.
And they're kind of building to her hot tag. And that's when the match started to pick up, is when AJ Lee finally got in the match.
Yeah.
When she got into the match, she got the hot tag. She started going off on Becky Lynch. She looked a little choppy, but that's what happens with ring rust when you're gone for that long. But as the match got on, she got better.
Yeah.
So the match continued going on. One of the big spots was that the fight started going out to the brawl, to the outside, where we kind of I didn't expect there was going to be a table bump in this match.
Yeah.
So that table bump, I believe it was
Seth Rollins
and CM Punk. They were carrying each other.
And then Becky Lynch basically jumped over the ring.
Right.
and speared CM Punk, which ultimately caused the ring to break.
And then the match basically eventually ended with AJ Lee hitting her submission on Becky Lynch and getting. See, the submission she does now, it doesn't look that good. I feel like she should definitely come up with a better submission or a different finisher.
I think she should work on it to make it more presentable because she's just holding on to the back and just
right
and her Black Widow.
Exactly, and the thing is like it reminds me of like when John Cena does the STFU. Like it doesn't look good anymore because he's just like holding them
on the face and
exactly. He used to wrench back on it, but now he can't do that because he used to choke people out actually with it. But now I think it's the same situation where she just needs to work on those techniques and. Obviously, she'll get better.
Yeah, she'll definitely get better for sure. And she was very good when she was younger. Now she's just a little bit older. Obviously, she hasn't been in the ring for however long.
But with AJ Lee submitting Becky Lynch, this kind of destines her to go after that Intercontinental title. Might be at Crown Jewel where she can get that title. And I think it's got to be a match where it's got to be a feud where I think Becky needs to get a win back. And then eventually can lead to like one more final match where AJ picks up the title. Yeah. So that's the only way to prolong that feud like that. And that's the way I see it going on. When it comes to CM Punk and Seth Rollins, I think
it's over in a sense that...
I think it's over for now.
For now, you think?
I think it's over for now because the only reason is that Seth Rollins is now going on to Crown Jewel where they're going to be facing
Cody Rhodes.
We'll
talk about that in a little bit.
Right, Cody Rhodes. And then also CM Punk, we don't know if he's going to be on that show. What is he going to even do then? Because there's no really like setup for him.
He can get involved in the match.
He can get involved in the match, but for some reason, I feel like this rivalry needs to blow off like at a big show, at a big pay-per-view, where they need to have one more big match. I think that they need to have that one more like singles match where it's like a blow-off.
The end-all be-all.
Right, whether it's like a, I don't know, Hell in a Cell match or something like that. Where
they did have a steel cage match, no?
Yeah, but like...
Roman Reigns technically got it.
Right, but I think it needs to be like a big match where it's like no outside interference. Well, outside interferences can be a play, but they can be taken out. But like there needs to be like a big payoff to this feud where it's a big stipulation. It can be a last man standing or something like that.
I quit match.
Or that'd be kind of hard to say. Like if you quit, then like where do you go?
Yeah.
Technically, storyline wise, but that's for CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, and then we'll get to the main event of the show: Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes. So for me, this was the most least built match of my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But Cody Rhodes is the star. Yeah. He's the champ.
Well, there was some synopsis to them actually fighting. It's just a matter of being where Cody was filming for the movie. We didn't see him on TV for like at least a month and a half.
Right.
And as a result, it was just basically Drew McIntyre going at it with Randy Orton. That's when Cody Rhodes decided to come back last Friday. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to see you at WrestlePalooza. And basically, this was the main event of the night.
So in my eyes, when they put this match as the main event, I automatically thought that this is going to be like something.
Yeah.
There's going to be and the thing is also, Triple H was building this show where it's like, it's going to be spectacular. You're going to see stuff that you've never seen before. I assumed it's going to be like something like, you'll never know, like a Rock come
like
up.
A SummerSlam.
Like a Randy Orton comes in, maybe turns heel, like something like that. But it ended up being nothing. It just led to a Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre match where it was a good match. These guys are obviously professionals and they're one of the best for a reason. They can't really have a bad match. They had a good match because of Cody's ability to like pretty much put on a show, and Drew's intensity together. Those mixed together are always going to have a good match.
We saw Cody Rhodes grabbing his head a few
That
times.
was very weird.
That was like,
I get that he's trying to like play off a factor that Drew took him out, but that was 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was just like, well, I don't know. It
was very weird.
Hearing voices in his head. Like,
it was very weird, but we'll talk about. Here's a thing where I think this feud is definitely going to continue after Cody Rhodes. So
after Crown Jewel?
After Crown Jewel, because there's reasons for Drew McIntyre to want a rematch, and we'll talk about it because of the referee involved in this match. And let's talk about the MVP of this match, in my opinion, Wade Barrett.
Yeah, Wade Barrett was going off.
Wade Barrett was hilarious on commentary with that referee. He was like, what the hell is this referee doing?
I think, what was it? They had Drew McIntyre Cody Rhodes go out the ring?
So that was the second spot. The first spot was, the referee was up in the corner and Drew was trying to push Cody into the corner.
Yeah.
So the referee's instinct was to dive out the ring. He dove out the ring. Meanwhile, Drew rolls up Cody trying to get the count. He has the count. And Wade Barrett is just like, where the hell's the ref? Why did he dive out the ring? And it made no sense. But in our eyes, we're like, oh my God, Wade Barrett's actually talking facts. Like, where the hell is the ref?
Why did he dive out the ring?
Yeah, and the camera angle, you see the ref. He's like, oh shit, he slides right back in the ring. Tries to do the count. Cody kicks out, and Drew McIntyre's pissed. So that's part one. Then we go to part two, where Cody Rhodes is outside the ring, and Drew's setting him up for kicking him in the face. Where the monitor, basically what he did, the same spot to him 5 weeks ago. Yeah. The referee stops him. Mind you, this is not illegal. This is all legal. So the referee is stopping Drew McIntyre, and you just hear Wade Barrett going off again. He goes like, why are you stopping him? He's not doing anything wrong. Referee, at least do the count. At least something. So it made no sense to me. And that's why I think Drew definitely has, and Drew done this before, where he's going to pull up to a SmackDown. He's like, I have evidence. And he's going to just go down the evidence of this referee of how much he fucked him over this match.
Oh, man.
But in my eyes...
I'm sorry, I'm just gathering myself.
In my eyes, Cody Rhodes, he defeated Drew McIntyre with one crossroads. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's his second crossroads on the match. Yeah. But usually he does...
hit him with a lot of Cody cutters.
Though. Exactly, a lot of Cody cutters. But usually when Cody Rhodes wins his matches now, he hits that trifecta crossroads. But he didn't really need it in this match, which is also kind of surprising. But I think this match was good, but for sure it was lacking something where there's so much more that these guys can give. After this crown jewel, we feel like it's gonna I feel like it's gonna continue.
I agree, yeah.
Especially with like going into Survivor Series, I think you could definitely do like a stipulation match or something that makes it more interesting. Or maybe including Randy Orton in a triple threat or something like that. But overall, that was WrestlePalooza. That was their 5-match card.
Yeah, I think the hype behind WrestlePalooza was a 10 out of 10.
Right.
And in my opinion, the card was a 6 out of 10. There was a lot of things that could have been done better.
Yeah.
I guess, obviously there was a storytelling aspect to the main event.
For sure.
The squash match played like no real interest in most people, you know what I mean? Overall, WWE could have done better, especially being how they present it to be on ESPN.
And the thing is, like, WWE has all these elaborate PLEs now and people are also complaining. I've seen people talk about how they went to the show itself and there was no like elaborate stage. It was just like a regular Monday Night Raw SmackDown stage where it didn't feel like the build felt like it was so hyped, but like the actual delivery wasn't. So I agree with you. I also think it's a 6 out of 10. I might actually go 5 out of 10 because of the first match was so like kind of disappointing. Yeah. But in my eyes, I think it's something where we can definitely feel like WWE is going to learn from this, especially now. Like let's talk about this real quick. Heading into our Raw recap now, that ESPN does these grades now of these shows. In my eyes, I think ESPN always used to do these. They used to always have like a backstage writer or someone in their journalism like talk about wrestling and do a report.
Spot.
That's what I'm saying. But now it's more apparent than ever because they're partnered with ESPN.
They're doing it every time on SportsCenter. Like at night, they will do their own recap. They'll have like whoever's commentating, Joe Tessitore.
Exactly.
They'll do a recap. They'll show that. Obviously, they'll have like highlights in the morning, which is great. I like that they are giving WWE that platform to show their content. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But in my opinion, getting back to like what my style heel take was a couple of weeks ago, the content itself is not there. Like the creativity, the storytelling, it hasn't been there for a long time. And obviously, TKO has played a big part to it. So we'll see how it goes. Like maybe ESPN will be like, no, we need better content.
Exactly. So this could be a stepping stone where ESPN could kind of force WWE people in hand with providing better shows. Let's get into our Raw recap. So we had Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins opening the show. Pretty much it was a back and forth promo about them involving each other's lives and
who's the number one,
who's basically the top guy. The main thing so at Crown Jewel they always gonna, I guess it's gonna be now like going forward the tradition. Ring, right? It's gonna be fighting for that ring and for that title where it's always gonna be a champion versus champion now. I think last year it was Cody and Gunther. Yeah. And Cody ended up winning. And
I think Seth could. We'll do this. My early prediction is I think Seth probably captured.
I also think so too because of the way that the promo went, where Cody Rhodes is now kind of gloating in his face that Seth never beat him.
Right.
Cody did beat him 3 times in a row. So that is kind of where this feud. This is basically where Raw and SmackDown is going to be leading up to in the next 3 weeks. because the show is pretty soon. It's a quick turnaround. But that was the beginning segment of the show. The first match of the show was a tornado 6-man tag match. Yeah. This match was great. No disqualification. It was great. It was great to see the New Day. It was great to see Penta and the War Raiders. We haven't seen them in a while. Show. These guys, all 6 guys, they gelled pretty well together. It was chaotic. It was high flying. We had a bunch of cool spots. We had to talk about
the camera spot.
The camera spot was just, I don't know, it was just a miscommunication or something.
Who did it?
It was Kofi diving onto Penta.
On the table.
On a table outside.
We saw, Ivar in the way?
No, it was Xavier.
Oh, Xavier Woods. Yeah. We just missed the whole complete...
Right, but WWE has so many cameras around that they just had another shot shooting it. But the big spot of the match was the end of the match. It was the end of the match where Penta hit a avalanche Mexican Destroyer on Grayson Waller.
That was crazy.
That was an insane move and fucking dangerous move, actually. But Grayson Waller, he's really good at selling stuff like that. It was a great match. I think that I don't know. Again, I don't know where these guys go from here. Penta's definitely should be in a bigger scene. I think he should definitely be part of that Intercontinental scene. And the New Day, they're going to continue doing what they do. Try to be relevant.
Fishnet wearing looking selves.
And then we have the War Raiders, who can possibly also
head back towards the tag team title.
At that point, what else can you do at that point for these guys? But again, the tag team division, it's very lacking on Raw. They're gonna need some shakeup very soon before it gets super stale. Next, we had Adam Pearce introduce Stephanie Vaquer. She had a quick little promo, basically telling her that she's the champion now. She's excited.
The people's champion.
Exactly. She's excited to take on the new role.
That's my future wife, by the way.
And then she's gonna basically Also, the other thing is she doesn't really speak English that well, but putting her in a spotlight like this is kind of going to force her to be in that role where she's going to be...
She'll be like how... I feel like there was another champion that had difficult... Obviously, Io Sky definitely had some language barriers and stuff like that. But I don't remember recalling somebody having a full... they didn't speak English type of thing.
Well, she speaks English. It's just it has to go on for a prolonged time. And we'll see it develop. Adam Pearce is pretty much, again, promoting the Crown Jewel matchup where it's going to be Stephanie Vaquer versus... It's going to be on SmackDown where they're going to have a triple threat match to decide who the champion is pretty much going to be. It's going to be Tiffany versus Jade versus Nia.
You want to give your prediction now?
I can give my prediction right now. I think Tiffany retains at this point. I think Tiffany retains at this point. It's kind of at this point, she's almost going to close in a year soon. So let her have it, and then maybe until WrestleMania she loses it or something like that. I don't know to who yet. Still, the women's tag team division, the women's division on SmackDown needs help too. But But that's pretty much that for Stephanie Vaquer. Next, we had Bayley versus Roxanne.
Yeah, this was just your average match throughout. But the thing was, Bayley, I don't know if she's schizophrenic or whatever.
She's continuing the storyline.
She's continuing the storyline where she's been showing different personalities. You'll see her in a backstage promo where she's serious. And then we'll see in her backstage confrontation between her and Liv Valkyria where she's really huggy and all that stuff. Ultimately, she brought up the huggy side for the beginning of the match against Roxanne Perez. She actually ended up picking up the victory.
She picked up the victory after, I guess, something happened during match where she just turned into, the serious side again.
Lyra Valkyria came out, and then I believe she tried to confront Bayley about it, but then Bayley turned on her, and she had, a spot where she
just knocked her down. Yeah. No, she just knocked her down and just stay away from me. Right. So, again, it's continuing where Lyra's confused.
We don't know what the route is going.
Exactly. It's going to eventually obviously lead to a match, but we're going to find out where the schizophrenic or this mixed personality thing is going to lead to. But next we had Rusev versus JD. So the storyline here is we're starting to see a little dissension between the Judgment Day where Dominic is kind of
he's scared.
He's scared of Rusev, as he should be, but we've
been pulling for this Rusev stuff since where was it?
Since the Sheamus feud. But the thing is here now, it's just obviously Dominic now feels like he's big shot than ever because he has 2 titles now. He has the help of the Grande Americanos, and then now Finn Balor and JD. It's obvious that they're kind of all right, Dom, you don't need us anymore. It's starting to lead to where the Judgment Day might end up becoming a face group with Dominic just being a heel, on his own, maybe joining the Grandes and making that his own faction at this point. And it's starting to seem like that as we had Dominic Mysterio ringside for this match, and JD was getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
basically, like, the shot in the camera was Rusev submitting JD to his Rusev lock.
Yeah, and then Finn Balor comes out of nowhere and
tries to save JD while Dom is kind of too scared to get into the ring. That's pretty much where that feud is going to. I think Rusev is he might pick up that title, I think, because of dissemination between the Judgment Day. I can definitely see where
Dom hold on to the AAA title, right?
The AAA title, but I can see where Dom is going to need Finn Balor's help or JD's help, and they just don't come to his rescue, and then Rusev can pick up a title like that. Yeah. That could be pretty much the way to go. Next, we have LA Knight versus Jey Uso. That was an interesting match. It was a good match, but it was good to see that Jey Uso, it's very interesting now that they're doing some type of character switch up where
he's becoming more serious.
He's becoming more serious. He's starting to take on the more Roman Reigns-esque mantle where he feels like it's time to care about myself and only the people I care about.
Yeah, because I'm tired of seeing him huffing and puffing after every promo. Like, obviously, we know him. He's better to be in the tag team scene as the people know him to be.
Right, and it was great to see the Usos tag again.
Yeah, for sure. But this serious side, maybe they'll bring something out of him. Where
exactly.
He'll take a step back and just, digest everything.
And it could be one of those things where he could be one of those, like a Kevin Owens type where he's like a face, but he's also a heelish type.
Yeah.
I think it could work for Jey Uso like that, where he could take on that mantle and just care about himself. And let's talk about real quick a backstage segment where Jey and Cody were having a conversation, and during the conversation, Jey was eyeing Cody's title. He was basically saying, like, I'll do whatever it takes to get back to the top while eyeing the title. It's kind of like insinuating that, hey, Jey Uso might take out Cody Rhodes if he needs to get to that title again. And like, he might be like, it could be a storyline where he's just crazed to be a champion, just like Roman Reigns was.
Yeah.
So eventually, like, this could lead to something bigger than we think, where Jey Uso can take on that mantle where he becomes obsessed with power like Roman Reigns.
It's a good potential.
It's a good potential for him, where he comes obsessed and he wants the Ula Fala. He wants everything to himself. I could see it. It could work if they do it properly. In this match, we had Jey pick up the win. LA Knight's out. We had the Braun Brawns come out. They're going to attack him. But Jimmy Uso was like, hey, man, let's go help him out. And Jey was like, not about it. So
Jimmy ended up helping him
out. And that could cause dissension between them, where Jey could take out Jimmy. He's like, dude, you don't care about me. You just care about other people. Like, and it could lead to something. I definitely know, like, in my opinion, I remember when they had that singles match at WrestleMania, and that was very bad. I know for sure that they got it from the crowd and they felt it from everyone that they knew that was a horrible match. I definitely do think eventually they're going to run that match back again, and this could lead to something where they can run that match back again at like a Royal Rumble or something, where I know those guys want to get a do-over in that match, because I remember that match was just a bunch of super kicks, a bunch of just spears, and it wasn't a good match at all. So yeah, the Jey Uso storyline continues to go on.
Look forward to for that story.
And I'm glad to see it, because I'm glad that he's not going to be stagnant and just continue just doing this heat stuff. He might eventually turn into something different. But let's talk about the main event of the show. We finally had a different main event on this show.
It was a women's main event.
Exactly, and as deserved, because the night before, on Saturday, the women had the best match on the show, so it kind of rewarded them with Asuka and Rhea Ripley. These girls
they've been feuding backstage for a few weeks now, so kind of made sense for them to finally have a match. It was a great match, like, overall.
Rhea Ripley, Asuka, these girls are one of the best in the world. They know what they're doing. But this match kind of led to a Asuka where she Asuka was kind of like working the match where she was like, all right, I'm trying to do like a little heelish type, but she's not fully heel yet until like the very end of the match where it was confirmed.
Right.
So Rhea basically won the match on a roll-up, and Asuka misted her in the face, which led to Kairi playing that confused character, but Io finally coming out and be like, why are you doing that to Rhea and stuff like that.
We all thought that was a potential Io Sky heel.
I thought eventually like Io's going to join them and kind of have that, but that was all dependent on Io winning the title. That was my theory on it.
Okay, I got you.
So, but now Io didn't win the title, so it's got to be basically now Io and Asuka like doing their feud. But Asuka and Kairi attacked Rhea, kind of like ultimately solidified that they're the Kabuki Warriors are going to be the heels now going in this feud. We're going to obviously probably get a tag team match between Rhea, Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors. So that was pretty much the show on Raw this week. One other thing I want to talk about real quick is before the show even started, we had John Cena on Twitter talking about how he wanted AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw.
He kept posting some interesting Facebook statuses the last couple of days, like, "Yo, John Cena, AJ Styles, doesn't it sound good?"
It's weird because like now like people were clamoring for this match before Cena retired, and now John Cena always talks about how he's like, I'm not the one to like push for matches, but it's clear that whatever the backlash of that match and Brock Lesnar was like affected him and the fans, that he just straight up was like, all right, I want AJ Styles now. Lo and behold, this morning we find out that it's official.
Yep.
AJ Styles versus John Cena is announced for Crown Jewel. Yeah. No build up, no nothing.
Well, honestly, they should have a promo.
But no, it's not. John Cena's he's not announced for any show until Crown Jewel. And the thing is, they don't need it because these two guys, they can just go on to the match. People already know what it is.
We'll probably see AJ Styles on TV.
He'll definitely do some talks about John Cena and be like, hey, John Cena, like, I remember back then when Styles was the heel, he was like, I'm the face that runs the place. Yeah. It was a great storyline they had. I think that it's going to be a classic match where Styles is going to pull out one of Cena's best matches because that's what just AJ Styles does. He's been doing it forever.
They've always had some great matches.
Every single match they had was 4 to 5 star match for me. These guys going into Crown Jewel with no build up, no nothing, it kind of fits because everyone knows this is John Cena's retirement tour. He's going to want the matches that he wants. I think Cena has like 4 dates left, which is getting scarier and scarier to think about because of the limited time and the limited opponents he has left to work with. But AJ Styles, he deserves one of those spots, and he's going to get it at Crown Jewel.
So we're basically on the road to Crown Jewel at this point.
Exactly. We got 3 weeks towards Crown Jewel, and we'll be talking about it going forward every week. Stay tuned for it, and that kind of sums up our wrestling recap for this week. All right, guys. Now let's get into our sports recap for this week. We're going to quickly just jump into the NFL. Do you want to say anything real quick about like MLB or anything?
Well, we're just on the postseason push. I'm going to get into my sideline heel take, which is on baseball. There's a lot of wild card races heating up. The Mets are looking they're on the outside looking, and the Reds surprisingly have been playing really well. They've taken the 3rd wild card. The Padres clinched last night.
Yeah.
So it's basically going to be the Cubs and the Padres, and then whoever wins between the Reds and the Mets, they'll face the Dodgers.
Yep, we have a lot. Next week is probably going to be a lot more to talk about it because there's going to be a lot of like
all the wild card stuff.
It's all going to be set up.
Next Tuesday. So we're on the last last stretch of MLB games.
Yep.
This weekend is actually all the last games, and it's been a great season. Like a lot of great stuff have been going on. Cal Raleigh has hitting monster home runs, putting up monster numbers. We had Paul Skeens looking really solid. Tarek Skubal looked really solid. Shohei came back and finally pitched. A lot of great storylines for the MLB this season.
And let's quickly talk about how they just announced the batting.
So I remember in one of my sideline heel takes, I think when I did the Philippine one,
right, I
was mentioning that AI or some type of automated system needs to take over in terms of umpiring or reffing. And I guess MLB heard me. I'm not saying they did, but in 2026, they're going to implement the ABS system. Now, this is going to put a lot of umpires'
jobs and
a lot of not even their jobs, like their overall aspect to the game. We'll know or we'll read out the week in the sense of who's actually calling the game.
Who's the terrible umpire?
Who's the terrible umpires? And they'll put this to perspective because we've seen some blasphemous calls like when it came to strikes and balls this whole season.
And now we're getting to postseason
and it's even mandatory in the postseason. Yeah. So that's something to look forward to next season. But yeah, that's pretty much the MLB recap. Now we'll switch gears to the NFL this week.
Yep. So about the first game.
My first game was the Jets and Buccaneers. So we actually lost 29-27.
Interesting game
because the Jets jumped out. They took an early 6-3 lead. And we thought maybe there was some potential to, I guess, Tyrod Taylor was looking pretty good. The defense was playing pretty good, but knowing the Jets, they ended up jetting themselves again. Baker Mayfield was looking really good. Emeka Egbuka is a solid wide receiver. Now that Mike Evans, which we'll talk about in our
he's getting even more touches.
Mike Evans got hurt because he strained his hamstring, so he's going to be out at least a few games. And then this is going to put Emeka Egbuka to the test where he's going to be the true number 1 moving forward. He actually burned Sauce Gardner a few times, had a crazy one-handed catch, but he's going to be the next face for the Buccaneers for the next few years after Mike Evans calls it career. So here's the thing. The Bucs, they actually took a 20-6 lead. They scored 20 unanswered points, and we're like, oh, man.
All right, here we go. This game's over. I was telling him, I'm like, dude, I'm tired of watching these.
Yeah, I ended up leaving, right? But then I started noticing, like I was watching it wherever I was going on my phone, and I started seeing that the Jets were actually capitalizing on some, punts, and they started scoring touchdowns. Like, oh shit, here we go. But the craziest thing that happened was the Buccaneers, they tried to kick a field goal to go up 29-20, but then Will McDonald jumped over the long snapper, which is legal because he didn't touch the long snapper. He blocked it. Not only did he block it, he took the football and ran it in for the end zone.
Crazy athletic play.
I saw Aaron Glenn was doing some like running man dance, and that kind of blew up on social media, saying like, "Oh, we all knew that the Jets were going to blow this lead after the coach did this," and to nobody's surprise that they actually did blow the lead.
Well, it's just they didn't blow it. It's just the defense failed them again.
The defense has been very bad this whole season. We thought that the Jets would have a top 5 defense. Obviously, C.J. Mosley, he retired. Quincy Williams just got hurt.
Yeah,
it's just looking very downhill for the Jets at this.
There's no leaders on that defense.
There's outside of Quincy Williams, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It sucks because they had a top 5 defense the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And overall, they've just been diminishing.
And Sauce isn't a leader in that team, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. But we lost and we're 0-3. It is what it is, and there's not a lot to look forward to. We don't know the health of Justin Fields for the next game. He has a concussion still. Maybe Tyrod Taylor is going to start against the Dolphins, and we'll get into that prediction a little bit. But yeah, Jets lost 29-27.
All right, and then the next game we had the Steelers versus Patriots. For me, this was a very frustrating game.
I can imagine. I was watching it.
It was so frustrating because in my eyes, the Patriots should have won this game by far. The Patriots played great defensively, but also they just didn't capitalize a lot, and the offense was also clicking.
You know what's crazy is they played like the Jets.
And it made no sense to me because, all right, so the game started off with Pittsburgh kind of started off with 2 TDs. And at that point, I'm like, all right, now it's just, in my eyes, I'm like, all right, this game might get away. Let's just try to chip away, get some field goals, like do what we can do where Josh McDaniels has an offense set up to basically convert on first downs, run the ball, and try to get us things. The thing that screwed us was running the ball. Ramondre Stevenson, he led the league in most fumbles last year, and I think, again, he's already probably leading it because he had 2 fumbles in this one game alone. In my eyes, I don't think that Ramondre Stevenson can start anymore after this performance.
They need to get TreVeyon
Henderson needs to start the game. Antonio Gibson's been playing really well as 2.
Yeah.
So I think he's
on the team.
He needs to probably be running back 2 at this point. And I'm sorry, like Ramondre, you need to get downgraded to running back 3 after this performance. I don't want to get all the pressure off as well. The Steelers defense, TJ Watt, he does what he does, and he's just really fucking good. But Drake May also had a costly fumble, and that's just the pocket collapsing on him and TJ Watt just being a disruption. But the strip sack led to Pittsburgh getting a good field position, and then that led to Aaron Rodgers doing a 9-play, 62-yard drive and getting a touchdown. And it was frustrating to see that because the Patriots, towards the end of the game, we had the ball back where we were trying to converge down the field, and we had one of our receivers, I don't remember which one it is. I think it was either Kayshon Boutte or it was Pop Douglas, where they were trying to get a first down. It was on 4th down. We had the position to get a first down. He did a step back move to try to avoid a defender, and he lost the yardage, and that cost us the game. Basically lost yardage, and that was the end of the game at that point. But it was overall not a good performance by the Patriots. We had a total of 5 total turnovers. And you're not going to win a football game with 5 turnovers.
Didn't Ramondre fumble at like the 1-yard line?
He fumbled, and the thing is, all the 3 of our turnovers happen in the red zone. And you're just not going to win football like
Drake,
that.
Like, obviously, at the end of the half, Drake May threw an interception.
Right. But Drake May, the thing is, I'm not mad at Drake May's interceptions because he's a gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball. I'm fine with that. But Drake May does what he does really well. He also gets the first downs. He runs for first downs all the time. It just sucks to see it because the Pats are playing well. They're playing as a unit, but it's just the mechanics. Yeah. It's the little things that are costing us these games, and that's why we're 1-2 right now.
No.
Next game, let's talk about Broncos and Chargers. This was also a scrappy game.
No, it's obviously a hard-hitting AFC West matchup. You have two of the oldest coaches in the league, Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton.
Yeah,
it was a classic matchup from back in the day. Both of these teams are known for their defenses. Obviously, the Broncos have arguably one of the best defenses. The Chargers' defense has been playing really well. And this was actually a great game in the sense that both teams were actually scoring. Not what you expect. Like, it wasn't like a high-scoring game, shootout type of vibe. But there was a lot of touchdowns. Not the sad thing was Najee Harris actually tore his Achilles. And what was even sadder was Justin Herbert went up for a play action pass. He literally watched him fall over.
Yeah.
Threw a dart over the middle, and it was just frustrating to watch, I guess, in that sense. But Cortland Sutton balled out. He had a big game. Kind of made the Chargers secondary look really bad.
And then we're still getting the renaissance of Keenan Allen.
Yeah, he has a crazy resurgence.
Very interesting to see that.
Went from LA to Chicago. Was like, nope, I don't want to be in Chicago. And went back to LA and showing not to with his former self, and it was really good. He had a crazy catch in the end zone.
Yep.
The Chargers did end up winning this game because of Dicker, the kicker. I believe the Broncos had a turnover at the end of the game, with like a few minutes left, and then ultimately the Chargers drove down the field. They got into field goal range. Dicker, the kicker, won in the game. It was 23-20.
Mm-hmm.
But Chargers are 3-0. 3-0. I'm happy for them. We'll see. Obviously, we'll get into if they get into the postseason. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But they look solid so far. So
right.
I guess moving forward, we'll see how they play. They have the Giants this week. Who are starting Jackson Dart, which is going to be interesting. So we'll see how that goes, and then we'll go from there.
And then the next game we had was probably the game of the week.
Yeah, Rams
and Eagles. Again, the Eagles continue to show why they're the clutchest team in the NFL. I know people hate to say it, people hate to hear it, but they just keep winning games. So we had a rematch of the Snow Divisional round of the last season. Saquon Barkley, he's still not looking like the old Saquon right now. A lot of defenses are starting to figure him out. They know what to do, kind of close the pocket on him, and basically don't let him have the patience and the quickness to get where he needs to go.
I don't think he had a 100-yard game this season.
I don't think so yet.
Crazy.
Which is very interesting to see. But Saquon is also one of those players where I definitely see him getting better as the season goes along.
He'll get stronger.
He'll get stronger, and the O-line will get better.
Yeah.
But in this game, we had the Rams, who took an early lead in this game, 26-7.
I thought it was going to be a blowout.
I thought it was going to be a blowout with Matthew Stafford.
Devontae Adams looking like Devontae Adams.
Puka Nakua's always looking solid.
They were slinging it around.
Kyron Williams is making moves. And the Rams just overall look good. But
something happened after halftime.
After halftime, the Eagles do what they do. They came storming back.
They showed why they're the champion.
They scored 20 unanswered points. Basically, let's talk about where the Rams... Where this week was a lot of special teams plays. This was
special teams, special players, special plays.
And this is where the Rams had a chance to win the game in the final seconds, but the Eagles blocked the kick, and big boy Jordan Davis took it to the house.
He didn't need to, but
he didn't need to. Yeah. I was going to say that. So Eagles were up, and the Rams drove down the field, tried to get a field goal.
Game-winning field goal, yeah.
But it got blocked, and Jordan Davis could have literally just picked the ball up and just sat down right there. But no, the big boy wanted that touchdown. He was probably like, I'm never going to get an opportunity to do this again.
I got to do this one way or another.
Got the touchdown. The crowd erupted. Were they in Philly?
Yeah.
They were in Philly, so I guarantee you those Philly fans were going insane. And the Eagles continue to be the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. I think they're continuing to show why, if you're going to be in a late game situation, you're picking the Eagles.
Yeah.
They continue to prove it. And then the last game we had was Monday night, yesterday. We had the Ravens versus Lions.
So this was actually a potential Super Bowl preview.
Yeah.
And it kind of was a Super Bowl preview. A lot of high offensive scoring. But my problem with this was, let's just say the score. The Ravens, they actually lost. The Lions won. They won 38-30. Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry. I think he's on par with Saquon Barkley as the best running back of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
He's had
in the 2020s.
In the 2020, he came in like the mid 2010s or like towards the.
I would say in the 2020s era.
Yeah, he has had fumble issues stemming back from last season, and what's crazy is when he came into the league in like 2017 or so,
he would never fumble.
He had 3 fumbles in 6 years. In the last 2 seasons, he had I think about 8 fumbles,
and he already had 2 this year. So long story short, Derrick Henry was driving on the Ravens were driving down the field. They gave the ball to Derrick Henry. He ended up fumbling, giving the Lions rather an opportunity to score, which they actually ended up doing. Overall, the game was really good. I want to give a huge credit to the Lions defense where they kind of stumped Lamar Jackson.
A little bit, yeah.
Lamar got sacked 7 times.
Yeah.
While the Ravens had 0 sacks. And the Ravens, they're good. They're a good defense.
I think they're more overrated than people think. They apply no pressure to. They don't have a real pass rusher.
There's no pass rusher.
Obviously, they have Roquan Smith, but he's been playing more on the outside.
He's more on the outside linebacker.
In the inside. And obviously, you have Kyle Hamilton back there. Like, you can run against the Ravens, and it kind of proved.
With David Montgomery.
The Lions proved that yesterday. David Montgomery had 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs had 2 touchdowns. They just basically ran rampant against the Ravens defense.
And then also Dan Campbell being the gutsy coach that he always is. A
lot of 4th downs.
Always converting on 4th downs. He's one of the coaches that always goes for it on 4th downs, and it pays off in this game because I think Dan Campbell realized like we need to outscore the Ravens to win this game, and that's exactly what they did. We had Jared Goff putting an ice on the game where he delivered a beautiful ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown continues to be like one of these gritty receivers where he's like, you know what?
Top 5 wide receiver in my opinion.
You know what he reminds me of? And I was watching this game and I'm like, he reminds me of like this decade's Steve Smith Sr. Because he's small like him, but he's a dog.
Yeah.
That's why he like reminds me of him. Because think about it. Think about it in this way. Steve Smith.
No, you know who he reminds me of? Antonio Brown.
I don't care about Antonio Brown, man.
Prime Antonio Brown was one of the best wide receivers of all time.
Yeah, but like at this point, I don't care because of what his career did to like he fucked up his own career. And in my eyes, like, yeah, you could say that, but he just dropped off forever off the planet. I honestly think that Amon-Ra St. Brown, the way he plays, the way he continues to go, he can continue to have like a really high, good career and consider to be like a top 5 receiver for most of his life while playing. With a quarterback like Jared Goff giving him the ball, I think he's bound to be like up there in stats or whatever it is because St. Brown continues to show why that you give him the ball, you can win the games. I think he's a very like flashy receiver where he does talk about it. He talks a lot of crap too where he's like, I want the ball and stuff. So
he backs the talk too.
And he backs the talks. That was pretty much the wrap up of the Ravens and Lions game and our recap for week 3. And overall, week 3 was a lot of weird matchups. It was
a very entertaining week 3.
I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a slow week, but it actually turned out being a lot of interesting plays, a lot of special teams plays, a lot of teams basically solidifying who are the top dogs right now in the NFL. Let's kind of get into our week 4 predictions real quick. So I'll let Noah go for his first one.
Neloy.
All right. Well,
for those of you that don't know, I have a household name which is Neloy. That's why you call me Neloy.
Exactly. I've been saying it for 15 years probably. So like it is what it is.
The first game it's not the first game because it's on Monday night. It's the Dolphins and the Jets. Battle of 0-3. Terrible teams at the moment. Now here's the thing. Obviously, I'm pulling for the Jets, and I hope they do win. But I think the Dolphins are going to end up winning this game. I'm going to say the score is going to be around. I think the Dolphins actually put up points against that Jets team. I think it's going to be like 34-17. But if the Dolphins lose this game, Mike McDaniel's getting fired.
That's what I was going to say. So I think this is a game where Mike McDaniel's career is on the line now.
This is his. If he loses this game,
I think I will predict also. So I'm going to actually predict the Jets winning this game, and I do think Mike McDaniel gets fired. I think this is the time where it's over. Mike McDaniel's time as a head coach is over. I think he's
better as an OC.
I was going to say that. I think he's bound to be an OC. He could be an OC wherever he goes, honestly. But I think the Jets pick up this win. I think they're going to pick up this win by running the freaking ball to Breece Hall and getting him the ball. Because I noticed this. When Breece Hall gets the ball, he gets open. He gets yardage. I think that's got to be the game plan going forward. Like, I get you have Garrett Wilson and he wants to get fed the ball too. But in
week 1, they put up mad points by running the ball. Obviously, Justin Fields didn't play last game.
Right. But I think this is the way to go where Tyrod's got to feed Breece Hall the ball. You're not going to win the game with Tyrod Taylor throwing the ball. It's just not going to happen. I think if you commit to the run game, the Jets can win this game. I think the Jets win this game 24-17. I think the Jets win this game. Next, let's talk about the Patriots versus the Panthers. The Panthers put on a performance.
Yeah, they shut out the Falcons this past weekend.
Falcons look
30-0.
Dude, the Falcons look so terrible.
They look like booty cheeks.
They pulled Michael Penix and put in Kirk Cousins. Let's talk about the coach, Raheem Morris, in a press conference. I don't know if you saw this.
No.
They asked, so the Falcons media people asked him, like, so do you think this deserves this? Pretty much will Kirk Cousins get another opportunity to start? Coach was like, no. Next question. So kind of just threw Kirk Cousins right under the bus right there. I get it. Michael Penix is your guy. You want to go with him. Bijan, he's gonna suffer on that team, man. I don't know. You got to figure out a way to get him more involved. And Drake London, guys, I have him on fantasy, and he's just disappointing me like crazy. I don't know what to do with him, but the Falcons just look very bad. But the Panthers looked pretty good. And this is the Panthers I thought that these guys were going to play like going into the season. I thought with Bryce Young being more confident, having these weapons, running the ball, they're going to show out. And they did show out against the Falcons. Now, I think this game against the Patriots,
it'll be a true test.
It'll be a true test for the Panthers. I think that the Patriots should win this game, in my opinion. See, in my predictions, obviously, technically, I picked the Patriots to go 4-0 at this point. But these are all winnable games, I feel like, for the Patriots. And there's not a winnable game for the Patriots, I would say it. For me, in this situation, if the defense holds up, which they have been doing, but they just can't get sloppy. And it comes back to techniques, and it comes back to, like, not turning the ball over. And that's what we need to focus on. Drake May... I'll like continue to throw that ball, be the gunslinger that you need to be, but just do it smart. And then Ramondre Stevenson, I don't know if you're gonna even play this game, or you might be benched or whatever it is. But let's see what happens. I think the Patriots are gonna win this game. It should be a decisive victory, in my opinion. I think it should be like a 28-7 game, in my opinion.
I was just gonna say, I think the Patriots run away with this one. I think they shut out the Panthers. I don't think they perform as good as they did this past week. So I'm going to say it's going to be like a 24-10 type of game.
Yeah.
We'll probably get a big game from Stephon Diggs, in my opinion.
Stephon Diggs
is overdue for a big game.
Stephon Diggs is due for a big game. Yeah.
So next game on our docket is the Eagles and Buccaneers. This is a potential NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about these two teams is they're both known for their clutch moments. So in my opinion, I think the winner of this game, whoever has the ball last, is going to win the game. I don't think this is going to be like a one team pulls away type of game.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be like a back and forth where it'll be a field goal by one team, a field goal by another, a touchdown by one, a touchdown by another. It's not going to be a high scoring game. I'm sure there's going to be punts and all of that stuff like throughout the game, maybe turnovers or whatever. But the thing is, the Buccaneers, they're hurt. Obviously, they don't have much.
Yeah.
I do think that the Eagles ultimately pull this out.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's going to be a closer game than people might think. I think it's going to be like a 27-23 type of game.
Right. So I think it's going to be I feel like Baker's going to show out in this game, probably put on a big performance. Baker's been playing really well. When you put the ball in Baker Mayfield's hands, good things happen.
We're going to get a big game from Bucky Irving, though.
Bucky Irving is due for a big game as well because...
So is Saquon Barkley.
So I think this is going to be a very run-dominant game. I do think the Eagles pick up this win. I could see it to be like I will agree it's a high-scoring game. I could see it to be like a 30-23, where Eagles kind of get the final like drive where
they end up capitalizing.
The Eagles showing why they're one of the clutch teams in the NFL. And then next we could talk about the Ravens and Chiefs.
So what's crazy about this game? I just said that twice. Both of these teams are 1-2. Who would have saw that coming at the beginning of the season? The Ravens, they're a well-fought 1-2.
Yeah.
Because they put up points in all three games that they played. They put up 40 against the Bills. They put up 40 against, obviously, the Browns, which, we don't have the Browns. And then they put up 30 against the Lions yesterday. So they're well-deserved. They could have been 3-0 at this point.
Yeah,
so that's kind of surprising. The Chiefs, on the other hand, we look at it from how they played in week 1 against the Chargers. They didn't look really good.
No.
Then against the Eagles, they didn't really look good. And they played the Giants, and the Giants are obviously the Giants.
Giants, yeah.
So it basically was it was a lock win for the Chiefs.
Exactly.
So they don't look like the Chiefs of old, and
why? They're looking old.
They're looking old.
That's what they are.
Yeah. So I'm gonna roll with the Ravens this one.
Yeah.
I think their defense, they tighten up. Obviously, the thing about the Chiefs is they don't have a good running game, so you're not going to expect explosive numbers from Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt.
Exactly.
I think Derrick Henry decides to run rampant against the Chiefs, and I think hopefully, because I have him in fantasy, that he has a big game. I think Lamar has a big game. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game for the Ravens again. I think it's probably going to be like a 34-20 game.
Yep. So I'm gonna also go with the Ravens this week. Lamar Jackson. He's due for a game where he needs to show out. Last game he was showing out. It's just like he just wasn't escaping the pocket. No. And with someone like on the Chiefs with Chris Jones coming at you and also like Karlaftis, he's gonna have to run. So I think this game, when they do run, when the Ravens run in an open field, I don't think they can catch Lamar or Derrick Henry. So I think the Ravens are gonna win this game. I'm gonna say it's like a 27-21 type game. I think the Chiefs, they're just looking old. They're looking very old. Patrick Mahomes, he's not looking old. Patrick Mahomes is just playing the way he needs to. He always plays. He just plays enough to win the game. It's just not looking like that's been enough anymore. They're going to need to make some trade for a weapon or something very soon, or else it's going to get very ugly. This season could easily end up going to a bye week only having 2 wins or something.
I'm not saying this will dictate their season moving forward, but if they don't play well, they're gonna have a tough time to even win the division.
Exactly.
And the Broncos have been playing.
Exactly. So it's very scary for them looking forward. Next, let's talk about the Cowboys and Packers.
So we have the Micah Parsons return to Jerry's world, and this is going to be a fun game to watch.
Fun game, but also quickly, let's talk about the Packers who lost against the Browns.
Yeah, that was kind of disturbing.
Very surprising loss.
Yeah, so the Browns, we know that their defense has generally been pretty good throughout the last few years.
Well, their defense, Myles Garrett. Let's just talk about Myles Garrett.
Yeah, so the Browns, they didn't really play well offensively until the fourth quarter, and then they ended up coming back and winning the game on a game-winning field goal. So the Packers, they looked a little like not what we expected.
Exactly, like they weren't throwing the ball well.
The first couple of weeks, they didn't throw the ball well. They didn't run the ball well. So the thing about this game is the Cowboys, they just came off a game where they gave up almost 500 yards to the Bears.
Jesus.
And they gave up almost 600 yards to the Giants.
And they lost CeeDee Lamb for a few weeks. And they lost
CeeDee Lamb because of an ankle injury. So
it's going to be tough for both teams, honestly.
So here's the thing: if the Packers, I think the Packers, they win this. I have nothing to say about the Cowboys because their defense just looks ridiculous. It looks so bad.
Trayvon Diggs looks horrible.
Deron Bland looks terrible. They have no pass rushing. They have no run stoppers. So I think Josh Jacobs has a monster
game, yeah.
And I think the Packers, they blow them out. I think Micah Parsons gets like 3 sacks somehow.
Yeah.
So I think the fans, they start booing Jerry Jones. They start booing the team. I think the Packers blow them out. I think they win like 31 to like 13, like how the Bears just won 31 to 14.
Yeah, I think the Packers definitely need to come back and establish like a huge like victory over them to be like, hey, we're one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, let's remind you guys that overall on the offensive and defensive side. And I think we're going to see that from both angles. I think Micah Parsons, he's due for a big game. I think he's going to have a few sacks in this game, especially going after Dak Prescott. I know he's going to be very invigorated. He's one of those players where he's excited for matchups like this.
He's going to take it personally.
Exactly. And you know the Cowboys...
Not because of Dak, but
I get it. And the Cowboys, you know, they're going to probably double team him a lot. Yeah. They have to. But it's going to leave opportunity for other players to basically disrupt the game. I think the Packers win this game, to be honest, probably like I think it's going to be like a 28-10 game. I think it's going to be just a complete, utter domination where the Packers are going to show why that they're the best team, one of the best teams in the NFC. Yeah. They need to remind themselves again after that disappointing loss to the Browns.
They always have that one game where it was a trap game and they fell for the trap.
Exactly.
And this was the game against the Browns for them.
Yeah, and that's kind of sums up our Week 4 predictions for this week. And as always, we're going to talk about it going forward in our next week's episode. But that sums up our sports recap for this week. All right, guys. Now it's time for our sideline heel take this week. As always, in our sideline heel take, we talk about stuff where we feel like our things are not getting talked about enough, or something that we feel like a lot of people are going to agree and disagree with. And for me, I'm going to talk about football this week, and I'm specifically going to be talking about the hardest position in football. We've always been told that the quarterback position is the hardest position in football.
It's the most important position.
And most important position in football, which is true. I give you that. It is probably definitely the most important position in football. But when it comes to the hardest position in football, yes, obviously you have to learn plays, you have to learn defensive schemes and all that stuff that comes with it, leadership skills, all that stuff. But the hardest position to physically play, in my opinion, I think is the position where a lot of people don't even talk about, don't even think about when you think about football. Let's talk about it. Let's put it in this perspective. If you're talking to someone that doesn't know anything about football, they're going to automatically know what a quarterback is because they know they're the star of the team. But they're not going to know about the person that's giving them the ball every snap. And that's the center position. I think the center position is the hardest position in football. And I'll give you 4 reasons why I think so. Number 1, the mental load. Let's talk about how a center is literally making line calls on spot all the time, whether it's pretty much pointing out defensive schemes or kind of helping the quarterback entirely. Sometimes we've seen this where quarterbacks kind of don't know anything and they don't even know plays and they look bad. We've seen centers kind of make their quarterbacks look better by calling this stuff out, by pointing out the Mike linebacker for them, for example. Because I feel like...
You know who used to do that? Nick Mangold.
Nick Mangold used to do that for Mark Sanchez because I guarantee you Mark Sanchez did not know schemes like that. And it was obvious when he played. But we also had the O-line not even control... Like, we have the center controlling his whole O-line team because he's kind of coordinating exactly who's going to be doing the blocking schemes. The mental load alone on that is crazy to me because they're doing that in the entire game. Next, let's talk about the physical challenge. So the physical challenge, unlike guards and tackles, the center has to snap the ball, but also has to have a hand up to immediately go into blocking. This means that they have to pretty much snap a ball into a right position where the So we can see a lot of quarterbacks where they fumble the ball because of indirect snaps or bad snaps. If you're a good center, you pride yourself on not giving yourself ever a bad snap. Basically, that means that you're going to start off every play and anytime you're on the field by having one hand on the ball and one hand trying to protect yourself and the quarterback. That's a physical challenge alone because
you got to be quick with it.
And you have to be quick with it because of the defensive players and how skilled they are on the other side. And that leads you right into technique. Offensive linemen are probably the most athletic people on the field, in my opinion, because think about it this way. You're 300 plus pounds. You have to move quickly. You have to move in a kind of
squat,
and also be in a graceful position to protect your quarterback. Let's talk about it where every snap has to be perfect, whether you have multiple snap positions. You have a shotgun position where you're throwing the ball a farther position. You have snap under the center. These are all positions where they have to kind of immediately feel like, I need to give a good snap or else it's going to lead to a detriment to the team. And a bad snap can basically kill the play instantly. And we've seen that happen. One of the most prime examples I'm never going to forget is in the Super Bowl against, I think it was Super Bowl 43, when it was the Seattle Seahawks versus the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah,
Remember how that game started off with that bad snap?
That basically dictated
the entire game. And it was crazy to see that because you would have never thought in a Peyton Manning-esque team where the center would fuck up the ball like that much. That kind of dictated once we saw that snap, I'm like, oh crap, we know how this team
all hell broke loose.
We all knew how that game was going to go. Let's talk about the last thing, which is durability and consistency. Centers rarely ever get subbed out. If you're a center, you're playing continuously.
The whole offensive line in general.
Exactly. Like, let's say, all right, you're on a 15 play drive. That can lead you to maybe 10 minutes of play time on the field. And you guys are centers. You guys are trying to protect the quarterback from other 300-pound men trying to attack the quarterback.
What's crazy is they sub out every now and then.
And defensive people sub out. So no matter what, the centers are expected to be the most healthiest and most conditioned players on the field. They're supposed to be dependable for every snap. But to be honest, think about it this way. Fatigue doesn't excuse mistakes because a single off-snap target can basically lead to a missed block and wreck the entire game.
Yeah, or even a turnover.
Exactly. But in my eyes, the center position has so many responsibilities, and we've seen it more and more apparent with people like Jason Kelce, who's been making it more prominent of how important and how more mainstream the center position has been getting known. Because obviously Jason Kelce, due to his stuff in the media and obviously his brother dating, not even dating, married now, or engaged. It brought more light to that position. I'm glad to see that because centers definitely
they don't get the credit
they don't get the credit they deserve, and also there's not many good centers and all-time great centers that you can find out there. And if you do find one, that center is never usually ever left the team because those teams will fucking pay those centers no matter what they want.
They're basically for lifers.
Exactly, and we've seen that happen with multiple centers in their careers. And that's why, overall, I do think the center is the hardest position in football and one of the most crucial positions in football. Now, let's talk about our other sideline heel take. I'll let Farden talk about this one.
So I'm going to switch gears to baseball this time. We're obviously on the postseason push, and we don't know what to expect. But I'm going to make this sentiment very clear. Aaron Judge is the greatest right-handed player of all time. And in my opinion, he beats...
Right-handed batter?
Right-handed batter.
Okay, because if you say player, you could talk about pitching and all that stuff. And throwing.
Yeah, but I'm talking about non-pitchers, also considering he's in the outfield. He's a right-handed player.
So you're talking about a player.
Position player.
Okay.
Let's just say that. And obviously, people are going to think of players like Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, Joe DiMaggio, all of these big-name players. Now, here's the thing. I've always felt that players before, let's just say the 80s, they don't experience the same quality of pitches that they throw now.
Right.
You have Paul Skeens, Mason Miller, Ben Joyce. They throw 100 miles per hour plus multiple times.
Insane.
And we didn't really see that back in the day. My man Cy Young, right? There was no way this guy looking like he was 40 when he was 20 years old throwing 100 miles per hour. If Aaron Judge played in the early 50s and 40s, he would have 100 home runs per season. But I'm going to throw some facts out there. He's the most walk batter in the league.
Crazy.
And he has the highest on-base percentage. You take away the walks, and if you pitch to him, he'll have more astronomical numbers than he already has.
Probably.
In a 162 game stretch from last season, he would have averaged 68 home runs and about $150 in terms of RBIs. I know a lot of people are like, oh, what about Mike Trout?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I love Mike Trout. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Obviously, injuries kind of derailed
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
like bulk of his career. The only thing I feel like Mike Trout has better in a sense is his defense. But overall, I feel like Aaron Judge has superseded him in that sense. Another player that I think people want to talk about is Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols, we don't really know the truth behind it, but there was rumors that he did take steroids. And obviously, a lot of great hitters over the years have taken steroids.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talk about Barry Bonds, who's arguably the best player of all time, regardless of which hand you hit from. He was getting walked on bases loaded and stuff like that. We haven't really seen that from Judge. The other argument that people want to say is Shohei Ohtani is better than Aaron Judge because he pitches as well. Now, obviously, Aaron Judge doesn't pitch.
Right.
We don't know what he would be like on the mound. If you look at the numbers specifically, Aaron Judge takes him out on that aspect at all. A lot of people, they want to throw out the fact that during the World Series last year, he dropped a routine foul ball. Obviously, people make mistakes, and that wasn't the only thing that costed him that game specifically, but it played a big role.
Oh.
But if, like, pure hitter-wise, if you pitch to Aaron Judge, there's a high chance that he'll either get a hit or hit a home run.
Yeah.
He's pushing 50 home runs this season. He'll probably end up getting it. Obviously, there's only 5 games left in the season. And he'll be the second player this season to hit 50 back-to-back seasons with Shohei.
With Shohei.
But Judge didn't even play about a month this season because of a right elbow injury. And maybe he would have 60 home runs by now. Obviously, people talk about Cal Raleigh, how he's been hitting all the home runs and stuff like that. But people don't consider the fact that Judge is leading the league in batting average right now at 330. That's crazy to think about.
330
There was a stretch where from the start of the season to like about June, he was hitting 400, bro. That's never been done in a consistent basis since Ted Williams did it.
Okay.
So that's basically my sideline heel take. I think Aaron Judge is the greatest player, right-handed player of all time. Arguably the best player of all time, in my opinion, because obviously Barry Bonds did what he did, Sammy Sosa did what he did, Mark McGwire did what he did. And we don't see that from Judge. He's just a pure hitter, and he doesn't get the credit that they deserve. They overrate him because he's on the Yankees.
But my thing I want to also talk about before that, do you not count postseason play? Because that is his detriment that everyone always talks about.
Earlier on in his career, he was producing in the postseason.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years or so.
But when he became the man, he
hasn't been. But I feel like even so, for example, like last season, he had Juan Soto backing him up. He doesn't have anybody this season.
No.
If he can come out and show that he can hit in the postseason this year with arguably a lesser caliber team, even though all position player-wise is better compared to last season, I think he'll prove a lot of people wrong, and maybe a lot of people would actually take into consideration.
So so if he puts up the same performance he did last postseason, would your opinion change?
I don't think so, because metrics say otherwise, in my opinion. He still has the numbers, and he gets walked more than
but at that point, it's kind of hard to say that, to consider him one of the greatest players of all time.
Well, yeah, but like I said, it's just a metric-based system in baseball at this point. He has hit home runs in the postseason. He's just not consistent.
He doesn't have the clutch gene, and I feel
like this season he's going to prove people wrong. I ultimately think that he's one of the best players, if not the best player of all time.
All right, and that's our sideline heel take for this week, guys. So join us next week, where we're going to be talking about, again, our wrestling recap and sports recap that we always do. And we're going to also talk about probably the best things that we've seen on this week in sports or wrestling.
We're on the push to the postseason in the MLB.
Yep.
To look forward to. Wild card starts, I believe, on Tuesday. There's a lot of great matchups to be looking forward to.
And football, as always, is exciting as it is. We're going to see what it leads to. But thank you guys for joining us for episode 12, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.